So the next topic we have is a extension. So the same keyword in Objective-C we use as categories. If they ask what is the difference between extension and category, tell them in Swift language we call this as an extension, but in Objective-C we call it a category. In Objective-C there is one more meaning for extension, but anyway we are not seeing Objective-C code, so it is not required. Just tell them this one line of thing. So in Objective-C we call it a category, in Swift we call it extension. So how many kind of extension that we are having? Now we have inbuilt extensions. So what are the inbuilt extensions? In a real time, if I assume I'm writing some code in this class. So this is a class view controller I'm having. In this class view controller, I have to implement something. The something is nothing but I want to get data from server. Okay. Nothing but I have to implement server logic to get the data. Sometimes I have to implement database logic. Sometimes I have to implement my UI. So there are many kind of operations that I have to perform in this controller. So there are so many operations. So in a real time, what I'll do here, I'll write a function for server. After this, I'll write a function for DB, or I may write function for EA, or I may implement so many other functions. So my code will become very huge. Whenever I'm implementing the class, it may go to 200 lines or the 300 lines. Tomorrow, if I come back, if I want to change something in the server code, so first I have to find where is my server function, what I have written in my server and what I have written in my DB or EA. It will be very nice to find the code. So for this, what we'll do in the real time, don't implement anything here. So don't implement anything in your class view controller. Implement only a view did load or view will appear or view did appear. So only related to the view. What operations you want to perform related to the view, or if you want to declare any variables. So only declaring variables you do here. Nothing else you want to do. Then where I'll define my functions. If you want to define your functions, it can be any functions. It can be initial setup or something. You have an option, always you can extend your class. How I can extend my class? So here we have a topic called extension. You're just extending the class. Here I can easily understand if tomorrow I comes here, this extension I use for server logic. So the code, whatever we're writing, it is a same code. Here I can declare a variable declaration. I can write a function. Here I'll declare only variables that is required for my function. Here I declare a variable that is required for entire class. So tomorrow if I comes, I can see this, I can easily identify this is my server. I can go here and I can say, if I want to implement for DB, you can extend number of times. What are the class you are having, you can extend number of times. So here the keyword just use extension, and this extension is for what? This extension is for my view controller. So my class name I have to provide. Your class name is view controller. The same thing I'm providing. I just want to extend my view controller. Extend your view controller for the database. Define your database variables here. Define your database methods here. Then UI. So again, one more extension. Alright, define your UI variable and UI operation. When a variable is required throughout the class, throughout this while, define that variable here. some variable is required for me. Still, this variable, whatever you are defining here, the functions, whatever you are defining here, you can access in your extension class also. If I'm extending something here, so server logic function I have defined in my extension controller. This function still you can access in any of these classes. So here I just call server logic. But this server logic, I'm defining my extension. It is nothing but it's not doing anything extra. The same class you are just extending. If I define some function here, still you can access anywhere in this. Here also you can access, in this extension also you can access, in other extension also you can access. But it will make your code simple, and whoever sees your code, they can easily understand. So this is one of the structure that we follow in the real time. When you want to implement a different logic, don't ever implement in this class. This class is only for view related things. View did load, view will appear, view did appear. Nothing else, not even an initial setup. If you want to initial setup, I'll write extension. This is for your initial setup. Do setup here. The setup function, whatever you're writing, so I'll write function setup. Just call this in the view did load. It will go, it will do all the setup for you. Okay, this is a logic that we have to follow in the real time. This is one kind of extension. So we have two extensions. Whatever you have seen, this is nothing but a class extension. So inbuilt class extensions, we can say. So this is a class we are having. And the second thing, extending your framework classes. So what it means, when I go to the framework, when I go to my module, this is a framework. Whenever I say module, it is a framework or a module. In this, I have defined so many classes. In this, I have so many classes. Okay. Now, if I have some class, something like this, EA textual, I am having. We take string only. So here I have a module called Swift. Inside I have a string and it is a structure. In the string, these are the methods that they have defined. Hash value, some inbuilt method that they have defined here. Whenever I use string, I can access all these operations I can perform. But my requirement, I have my custom requirement that I have to perform on a string. My custom requirement, I can take a string I want to convert into the array, or else if I take integer I want to convert into the string. So every time if I want to convert this, I have to write a logic here. So I have to implement a function which will convert my string into the array. This function I have to call again and again. This is my custom function. If this kind of requirement, if I have in 10 classes, in all the 10 classes, I have to implement this function. Instead of this, what I can do? So one more way, what you can do is, what is the framework that you are having? So string is defined in some framework. You just extend that framework for your string. So I can extend my framework classes also, but here you do not modify you should not modify any existing functionalities. If you modify existing functionalities, what happens? Your entire Xcode will never work. Again, you have to uninstall your Xcode. Again, you have to install your Xcode. If I touch one line of code, if I go to string, so it is editable. Always you can edit this. If I edit something and if I forgot to do the same thing, the entire Xcode will never work. Again, you have to uninstall. So be careful whenever you are extending your framework classes. Then how I can extend this? Here, whenever we say extension, it is not only for the classes, you can extend your structure also. If I have a structure, I can extend my structure also. Not only the structure, if I want to extend enumeration, if I want to extend protocol, so any type, what are the types you are having, any type that you can extend. But structure, anyway, we are not using that many times in the real time, so no need to worry about this. So what I'll do, I'll define one separate file and one empty file I'll take. My file name is extension. So first, what I want to extend, I want to extend a string structure. So first, do your extension for string. So extending, I want to extend my string functionalities. Here, you're just writing extension your existing class. You're just extending this class. That's it. But here, I am extending my entire string. So here, I'll write a function. Your function name is converting string to array. So here you write your logic. How you want to convert, you write your logic. Or else I'll write function convert integer to string or string to integer. Anything you can write. These are my own methods that I want to define. Because these methods are not available in the string framework. Whenever I go to the string framework, these methods are not available. Now go back here. I want to define a string. Here, when I do escape for the string class, these are the predefined lowercase, locally lowercase. If I want to see uppercase, okay, and capitalized. So many inbuilt APIs that are available. Now I can access my APIs. What I have defined here: converting string to array, converting string to integer. To the same string, I am passing this. Converting string to array, converting string to integer. But when you want to convert this, you have to provide your input parameter as a string here. If I don't give input parameter as a string, so here I'm just converting, extending this, I should provide my input as a string, or else I should get some value from this. If I don't get any value here, when I say this, I should get some output. Whenever I'm converting string to integer, I should have a output some array type. So I have output some array type. Here I'll return some array. So or else I'll make this as a nil. I will return nil. So here also when I convert, so it will always expect some output from this.
When you say return, right, character question mark means if it is in case if it is nil, right? Character, either it is character array or it can be nil. But here down you're returning only nil.
No, here integer I made it as an optional. So what is the return type I'm having? If you define your return type as optional, you actually can return a integer or you can return a nil also. So here I'm defining my character array. So here what I can do, I can return either a character array or I can return a nil. If I don't put question mark here, It will say your nil is not compatible with your return type. Now save this, go back here, do escape. Now it will accept. If you want to convert string to array, call this function. So your string you are converting to array, or I want to convert into the integer. Call this function. So what is the result this gives? I can store the result in this variable. Not only here, throughout this program, throughout this project, wherever you define a string, for the string along with its inbuilt functionalities, you can access these two also. Now, why I can access these two? These two now will be in the string framework up to this project. What is the project I am defining? So up to this, I can access this. So here, if you want to extend any array functionalities, any integer functionalities, or any UA functionalities, in the UA I have a label. UA label function I'm defining. In a real time, what we see, a simple example we'll see. So where we use extension for, so most of the cases we use extensions for the UAKit framework only, and in the less cases we go for this. Suppose if I take UA label, in the UA label, I have different function, one for the text. So if I want to give a text, one line of code I have to write, two lines of code, three lines of code, four lines of code. Instead of writing this 4 lines of code, this label is not giving me one function to define all these 4. So what I'll do, I'll define my own extension label, I'll define my own function. Custom label I'm defining for my properties. So what is the first property? Text, font, text color, shadow color. So text is a string. I just define my function. Whoever calls this function, if I want to call this function, always I have to pass this parameters. I have 3 parameters for this function. The 3 parameters I'll assign to my self. Whenever I say self, here I'm implementing for label class. So self automatically takes label. My self dot text. Nothing but your label text is equal to your parameter text I will assign. So whenever you want this customization, just call for this label. So now I want to define one label. If I want to provide the text, so usually I provide this. If I want to provide the color, usually instead of writing these 3 lines of code, I have extended my function. I have extended my function for the label, and I'll call this function only one line of code. Custom label for the property. So I can call this because I have extended this for the label. Pass the string here. Pass the text color. Pass this. So anywhere in this throughout the project, I can access these three. So this is how we just follow the extensions, and always remember there are two kind of extensions. One is framework. So here you have to be very careful, and in this, if you don't follow, nothing will happen. Okay. In this, any nodes are there in the extension, and extensions you can do for classes, structures, and anything, and you can extend number of the name.
So we can write extension anywhere and can access from
Anywhere. It's always a global. But here inside a class, I cannot write extension. So always it should be a separate set of code. So this class, my class is starting from here and it is ending here. After my class ends, then only I'm writing my extension. So inside one, I cannot write another extension.
Can call the function with extension name to direct.
No need to call extension name. So directly, it is not a different class. It is also a same class.
So, but if we define variable, does it start define in the beginning or how?
No. Here, anywhere you want to define. Here, I'm defining some x variable in this.
In the extension can be defined.
Yeah, in the extension we can define a variable.
But variable usually define on the top, right? So that we can.
No. So the variable, if it is required only for the initial setup. So there may be set of variables. One is required throughout the class. One may be required only to implement my server logic. So if I find this kind of variable, I'll define the variable here. So it is only required for my server. If I define this here, if I define this here, I may get a confused or I may get a warning. So I'm defining in my extension class. This is how we define.
One question.
Yes.
Using extension, we assigned all the values to our label, right? Means the color, UI color, the text, the shadow color, font color,
Yes.
text color, everything. So is there any way that and here we created the label manually. So if we extend the superclass of this thing, so can we create the label only by using extension?
Yeah, we can create label. So here, if you want to create your custom label, we can create a custom label. So, but that thing we call as a subclassing.
Okay.
But this is not a subclassing. If I want to create a subclassing of label, so that will be different. Now I can say this is a class and my class name is X, and this X will be inherited from my UL label class. So now this we call say subclass of label. This is different and this is different.
Okay. So I thought it is extending, na? That's why. Okay.
No, these two are different.
Jordan. On
Yes,
the
yes.
right side, there is on-demand resource tags. On the right side, the property thing. Yes. So if we uncheck the extensions, is it related to this thing?
No. Here, what are the classes you are adding, right? So any class you take, it should be always added in your target. Okay. If it is not there in the target, it is not compelled. So what are the class you take, right? Every class or every file, what are the things you take here?
Okay, that is the project name.
No, yeah, which one?
That thing only. The extensions, UI test and everything. It was there on the Swift file, right side, which you saw. Yes, this one, target membership.
A target membership is nothing but if it is added in the target, so what it will do, compiler will add in the compile sources. The first thing what compiler will do is what is the class you create here. Number of classes if you create here, it will always add in the compile sources. So here it will be added. If it is not there in the compile sources, I cannot use that class. If I remove view controller from the compile sources, I cannot import the view controller. I cannot compile the view controller. So in the view controller, I can write any kind of code.
Okay, so will it be inactive or will it be considered as an error?
It will be inactive only. It will never compile.
Okay.
So the extension what I have added. So currently I have added extension. So it is showing it is under the target.
Okay.
But
Okay.
test and test cases it is not there. But I don't consider this because I'm not writing any test cases here. This is a project field. I'm not considering any test cases, so I'm not doing any of
Mhm. Perfect. Thank you.
So any other notes in this extension?
If I'm working on a project, I want to write a globally extension. So which class name I will be the provide extension.
So usually people will provide only the extension. So in the extension, they will do all this. So string, integer, or anything. But approach it was there in the Objective-C is different. When I create a new file, right? In Objective-C, how we used to provide means this extension category used to provide my class name also. The class name will be something like this. If I want extend for the label, UI label plus what kind of property you want to extend. So my extension name be UI label plus extension. So this was the format we used to follow in the Objective-C.
Okay, in view controller class,
Okay.
scroll down. You write here the extension view controller.
Yes.
So this means we can use this extension on this particular view controller class, or can we achieve another?
No, you can directly call this view controller. Here it is not a different thing. So it is nothing but you use your class name and you can access.
If I want to create another class, means class 2, so we can access this extension also.
Yes, yes, yes. Everything. So I'll define a class 2 here. So you just want to access this server logic in the class 2. So define with your class name. Your class name with your function. So it is not a different function. It is inside my view controller only. So this is the reason.
There is a error is there.
So it is telling we cannot define the stored properties here. So we may not define stored properties. If I want to define stored properties, so I'll define in the class only. Here only I'll define that.
So means we cannot write the variable in.
Yeah, we cannot. So we may implement a complete property here. So we may implement a completed property, but not the stored property. This is about the full extension and subclassing we will see in the final. So this subclassing we are seeing it. So this is a different topic. The subclassing topic we will see in the last. So as of now, we use only extension for the framework and extension for the same class. Okay. So there the next topic is getting data from the server and storing data in the offline. That may take time. So tomorrow evening we'll have a class. So one full session for the storing data from the server, fetching data from the server. And after tomorrow we'll have how I can store data in the offline, in the DB. So everyone is available right tomorrow evening 4 to. So I don't know. It may take 1.5 hour time.
Okay.
But this is
Yes.
not same as extending class, right? That is different. Extending one class from another class, super class. What that is not what this is. No. This is just adding, just extending the same one.
This one you're saying?
Hmm.
It's a in the super class we are not changing anything. You are not allowed to change anything in the super class. I can use my super class and I can write my own
It
function.
is like just writing another function outside and calling that function inside.
No, here in the backend, what happens? I am writing this function here. So up to this project, label framework, this function is also there in the label framework. Up to this project only. In another project, only label means label.
It is not same as extending one class from another class. Like we extend, right? UI controller, sometimes we extend one class.
No, UI controller is my class. It is not a framework class. It is my own class. So, but here, label is not my class. It is a framework class.
Correct, yes.
So that's how we are doing. For example, if I say here, I can write my own class and I can extend this class also. So anything you can extend. What I am defining, everything is my own classes. And here, what I am defining is my framework class. If I go to label, label is a class that is defined in my UIKit framework. So now, what is the functionality added? This will be added for entire label. So this label, the functionality will be added. But here, it is my own class. It is not defined from any framework. It is not defined from any other outsource. It is my own class, and here I am extending my own class. So it's a two different.
What is the difference between extension and static function? I think same word. We can call them
Which one?
static function.
Static function.
I think should don't have static function.
No, static keyword we have. Static keyword we have the type property. Static function we use in structure to make it as a type. So we have a instance method, type methods. In a class, if I want to define, in a class I define with a class keyword and then the function name. In the structure, I cannot use the class keyword. So in the structure, if I want to make a type method, the function I'll define as a static function.
We can write the static function.
Yes, we can write. So the structures we can write. So if I take a structure, so this function I can define as a static function. If I don't have this keyword, if I want to call this function, first I have to initialize this, then only I can call this. But if I don't want to initialize, still I want to call this, make this function as a static function. So directly using this, I can call this.
So I was asking about the difference between extension and static function because same are both are same working.
No, here you are just extending your classes. Here, this static function still inside your structure only.
We can write inside the class.
We cannot write inside. No, I'm saying this is a type method. So in the class, I cannot implement a static function. In a class, I can implement my class function. So I'll just delete this. In a class or in a structure, I can define number of functions. So here also I can define it. In this class also I can define number of functions. So however I want to define, I can define number of functions. Why I am extending means if tomorrow I come back and see my code will be used in the same class, I may get confused. So I'm just extending one by one. One extension for initial setup, because this static function I cannot write outside of the class, and this static function I cannot write outside of the structure. So first I have to extend this, then only I can write a function. So any other doubts here?